Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Karen Kozier-Phillips. C-News is live at noon. Topping the news at this time, records have been destroyed and computers have been wiped at the Ministry of Housing and the HDC, with specific reference to what took place during 2010 to 2015. This according to Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Stuart Young. But he said they have been able to ascertain from records and persons who dealt with Federation Villas a list of names, including the names of former government ministers who occupied Federation Villas, even though they had their own housing in Trinidad.
Firstly, Mr. Dave Tanku. He was assigned Villa number 15 at Federation Villas. Mr. Sham Baldev Singh was assigned Villa number 5. Rudal Munilal was assigned Villa number 10. Ashwat Jack was assigned Villa number 3. Delman Baker assigned Villa number 2. Vanella Allen Toppin assigned Villa number 8. Mr. Wade Mark and Mr. Jack Warner were also assigned villas but did not utilize them, so that was subsequently set aside. The then Attorney General Anand Ram Logan was strangely assigned 2 villas, 1 and 7. And Mr. Barry Padarat was assigned a unit at Flagstaff.
Minister Young questioned why they were all given accommodation with the exception of the 2 Tobago MPs.
We have searched the cabinet records and we can find absolutely no decision taken by a cabinet with respect to any of those individuals I've just named being provided with housing at Federation Villas, which were constructed and designed as upscale townhouses for government ministers from Tobago, etc., or for Mr. Barry Padarat at Flagstaff.
He said according to preliminary reports, over $6 million was spent by the previous administration to maintain the villas.
So we now call upon the former administration to explain to the people of Trinidad and Tobago why wasn't a cabinet decision taken with respect to the provision of housing at these high-end level housing to these various people that I've named.
And setting the story straight on Thursday, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Stuart Young, said that Federation Villas owned by the state are in a rundown condition. He was responding to a front-page story in the Daily Express headlined "Secret Keys," which stated that 3 government officials were granted rent-to-own properties at the upscale Victoria Keys development in Diego Martin.
Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Stuart Young, said Minister of Tourism Shampaka Jo and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Gender and Child Affairs, Ayana Webster Roy, are being housed at Victoria Keys while in government, adding that they have also foregone their housing allowance.
When these ministers give up office and they're no longer in office, or for whatever reason, these premises will be returned to the state. They're owned by the government. I was saying that it is actually a disadvantage to them because they now forego their housing allowance. If they utilize their housing allowance, they could have purchased a property, maybe apply their housing allowance towards a mortgage, so when they left office they would have premises of their own and in their name, etc.
He said the accommodation was provided for the MPs as they predominantly reside in Tobago.
Their house is in Tobago, they live in Tobago. But because we have Minister Shamfa Kujo, who is the Minister of Tourism, and then we have Minister Ayana Webster Roy, who is the Minister of State in the Office of Prime Minister, responsible for Gender and Children Affairs, a decision, according to the SRC, they are allowed certain allowances. Ministers are allowed a housing allowance, as you're all aware.
And although the Vice President of the Senate, Nigel De Freitas, is not entitled to a housing allowance, the Cabinet took a decision to provide Mr. De Freitas with housing as he mainly resides in Tobago. Minister Young said Federation Villas is in a deplorable condition.
The Federation Villas deteriorated and there had to be a number of repairs to be carried out, etc. When we came into office, we found, despite the millions of dollars, and I have the information here, spent apparently and allegedly on refurbishing these villas for the names that I'll soon tell you about between the period of 2010 to 2015. When we came into office, these Federation Villas were in a state of rundown.
Minister Young reminded that Cabinet took a decision in February 2016 to reserve a certain number of Victoria Keys apartments for use by the government. He confirmed Project Management Advisor on Physical Infrastructure to the Prime Minister, Steve Gardner, and Special Advisor to the Prime Minister on Agriculture, Dr. John Allen, are two other persons occupying apartments at the Victoria Keys.
To other news now. Word today from officials at the Ministry of Education that a contractor will take up the bulk of work to be completed at the St. Joseph Secondary School from Monday. On Thursday, parents of students at the school protested, calling for swifter action by authorities in dealing with issues at the school. For the past 6 weeks, students were kept home because of complaints of unsafe conditions at the school. When CNews contacted the ministry today, we were told that a contractor has been lined up to deal with some of the infrastructural works that were listed as priority, such as securing the guard railing on Block B. We're also told that some of the housekeeping issues, such as bulbs for classrooms and power washing, has already been completed, and several other tasks are to be completed in time for Monday. This is the CNews Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at CNews Live. On Thursday evening, staff at the Public Services Association protested against the association's president, Watson Duke, in front of the Abercrombie Street headquarters. The workers, who are represented by the Bankers, Insurance and General Workers Union, demonstrated the treatment meted out to them by Mr. Duke. The workers said they are disenchanted and frustrated over several issues that are not being attended to by the PSA president. One of their main concerns is the lack of information regarding the PSA's pension plan. They claim the pension plan is underfunded by more than $2 million, and no actuarial review has been done for a number of years.
We have a pension plan here that Mr. Duke knows about. We have members of staff here with 35 years service, plus they are going home next year, and nothing has been done to secure these people's pension before they leave.
President of the PSA said staff are working on 2010 salaries, and negotiations have been stalled for some time now. The PSA workers said their protest has nothing to do with this month's PSA elections. They said they have had enough, and Mr. Duke needs to fix home first.
Set the stage by starting home first. He did nothing of the sort. Nothing of the sort. This is the problem that we are having, and the staff said enough is enough. And this is our way of starting to show people what sort of person we are working for. Because you can't be fighting for public officers outside, and you're not doing the right thing here by home. Charity begins at home.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is expected to visit China at the end of this month. Minister in the office of the Prime Minister, Stuart Young, said the invitation was extended by the Chinese government, who has decided to meet with 10 leaders from across the world.
President Trump is in China right now, and coming out of that conference, the leadership at China looked around the world and decided they would like to meet with 10 world leaders. We're not at liberty at this stage to say who the other 9 are, but I'm pleased to announce that Trinidad and Tobago was chosen as the one from this region, and the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Rowley has accepted that invitation.
The first leg of the visit is to take place between November 30th to December 3rd, where Dr. Rowley is expected to participate in high-level meetings in Beijing. Following this will be a state visit where he will tour other areas of China. This is to take place from December 4th to the 9th. Dr. Rowley will be accompanied by his wife Sharon Rowley and a small delegation. Miss Universe TT Yvonne Clark is set to leave Trinidad and Tobago to head to Las Vegas, USA tonight. The beauty queen, who was stripped of her title, then reinstated, all in a matter of a couple of weeks, is said to be ready for her performance on the world stage and eager to represent her country. The Miss Universe competition takes place on November 26th in Las Vegas. Now for the weather for the period today until midnight. Trinidad, Tobago and the remainder of the Lesser Antilles, mostly sunny, hazy and at times breezy. This would be interrupted at times by the brisk shower in confined areas. Tonight will be mostly clear and cool. Seas are slight waves up to 1.4 meters in open waters and near calm in sheltered areas. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is reporting quick action by police officers which resulted in a crime being solved within mere minutes of a report being made to police. According to police, a 29-year-old woman was assaulted and robbed of 2 handbags containing $40,000 in Rowley on Thursday afternoon. The victim was seated in her vehicle at the Gulf City Mall car park around 12:55 p.m. when the incident occurred. We're told officers arrived on the scene 5 minutes after the incident. There, they met with the victim, who pointed out one of the suspects was seen running towards a grey Hyundai Elantra motor car, which was parked outside the mall and occupied by the second male suspect. The first suspect threw the 2 handbags into the car before escaping on foot. The second suspect drove off in the vehicle, which was subsequently intercepted by the officers a short distance away along Gulfview Link Road. An 18-year-old Gasparillo man who was found in the vehicle was arrested and the 2 handbags recovered. Investigators say an arrest of the suspect who escaped on foot is imminent. Increased profits at the Republic Financial Holdings Limited RFHL this year has the chairman looking forward to a bright 2018. The banking group recorded a net profit of $1.25 billion for the year ended September 30th, 2017. In a release, they say that this represents an increase of $69 million over profits recorded in 2016. The group's chairman, Ronald Harford, attributed this good performance to improvements in several of the group's overseas territories. But he explained that the performance of its main subsidiary in Trinidad and Tobago remained relatively flat in 2017 because of an additional tax expense of $55 million. The board of directors has declared a final dividend of $3.15, bringing the total to $714.6 million. This represents a payout ratio of 57.1% to be paid on December 4th, 2017. Robert Mayers has been appointed as the new chairman of the board of the Telecommunications Services of Trinidad and Tobago, TSTT. The announcement was made by Minister of Public Utilities, Robert LaHunt, following a cabinet meeting. Mr. Mayers, an economist by profession, was the chairman and director of equity investments at KSBM Asset Management Limited. He has also been very vocal in the political arena, having been a deputy political leader of the Congress of the People. Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister Stuart Young says Public Administration and Communications Minister Cuffy is recovering well. At Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing, Minister Young said, unfortunately, there's been a lot of speculation with regard to Minister Cuffy's health and his condition.
I am happy to tell the public of Trinidad and Tobago here today that this morning I spoke to both Minister Cuffy as well as to his wife. They're both in Washington, D.C. Minister Cuffy is in very high spirits. He is going through a period of specialized rehabilitation that is going very, very well.
Minister Cuffy was taken to the St. Clair Medical Center in Port of Spain back in September following what was described as a medical episode. Political activist Philip Alexander, in a post to his Facebook page, claimed that Minister Cuffy was on life support in a private hospital at taxpayers' expense. He called on the Prime Minister to declare the La Hocata-Talparo seat vacant and force a by-election in the constituency. Minister Young said MP Cuffy is actually exceeding his doctor's expectations.
He told me he's undergoing at least 6 hours a day of rehabilitation, exercise, therapy, etc. And by all accounts, it is going very well, and he's actually ahead of where his doctors want him to be.
It's time now for sport, and we begin with news of cricket, where the Windward Islands have fought back on the second morning of the Professional Cricket League clash, with the TT Red Force taking place at the Queen's Park Oval. resuming at their overnight 332 for 3, with Dinesh Ramdan on 104 and Jason Mohammed on 99. TNT started cautiously as Mohammed notched his 6th regional 100. Ramdan pushed on but was the first man out for 116, while Mohammed also reached 120 before he departed. At lunch, TNT was bowled out for 402, losing 7 wickets for the addition of 68 runs this morning. Sherman Lewis had 5 for 65 to be the pick of the bowlers. And in the popular secondary schools Coca-Cola Intercol Series, St. Mary's College knocked off East Mukurapo to advance to the semi-finals in the North Zone. And in the East Zone Series, there were big wins for Trinity College East and Valencia Secondary, who turned back Holy Cross College and Five Rivers Secondary, respectively.
Five Rivers needed something dramatic to get back into this one, down 3-0 at the interval. But Trinity East were hungry for more and should have added to their tally time and again, but somehow failed to beat Dylan King in goal for Holy Cross here. Still, they kept probing, but found King in the way again. It was a recurring theme early in the second half, as Trinity East squandered several good looks at goal. But the man of the moment in Nickel Orr would tack on his 3rd of the afternoon when he finally beats King for 4-0 now. They added a 5th when Orr turned provider for skipper Romario Williams. And they had time to add a 6th when Curdell Sween netted his 2nd to rub salt into the wound for Holy Cross, who needed some divine intervention to ease the agony on this day, as it ended 6-0 to Trinity East. In the semis, they will face Valencia Secondary, who almost fell behind here to Five Rivers, but Hezron Dabro was in the way. Valencia would look for the opening goal, but Keegan Faria's spot kick was wide for the 2nd time in the half. But shortly after, they would hit pay dirt when this lovely feed from Akil Skeet is tapped in by Jeremy Adolphus, who arrived late to finish off the movement. But Five Rivers would punish some careless defending, and the man doing the honors for the Minnows was Jamal Thompson, who punished Dabru on this occasion early in the second half. Valencia tried to respond almost immediately, but the Five Rivers defense held. However, they would be put out of their misery soon enough when the bouncing ball in the area is tapped in by Curdell Devertile in the 62nd for a 2-1 Valencia advantage. Then on 80 minutes, Adolphus had a chance to end it for himself, but held on for too long and instead teed up Daniel Lacroix, whose splendid first touch hit the back of the net for the 3-1 scoreline. Game, set and match as they go through to the semis.
And that's it for sport. And that's the CNews Report at noon. I'm Karen Kozer-Phillip. Remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, you can visit the CNews website at ctvtt.com.